If you ride a sport bike and you're not a complete jigsaw rider, you probably rock a full face helmet like this KYT KX1. Now the KYT KX1 is without a doubt one of the safest helmets in the world, but we have to ask ourselves, what exactly makes a helmet like this so safe? Let's get into the three main materials that make up most of the helmet. We have plastic, fiber reinforced plastic like this KX1, and carbon fiber. Now sometimes you'll see a combination of carbon fiber and plastic, but again, those are the three main materials. Now out of those three, plastic is the least safe. Now I don't think we need further explanation for that, unless you ride a jigsaw. Now let's talk about fiber reinforced plastic. What's great about fiber reinforced plastic is it's able to absorb impact while still maintaining its rigidity. Now we all know carbon fiber is a much stiffer and lighter material than plastic. My tripod legs are made out of full carbon fiber, and it is extremely light. But when we're talking about helmets, a full carbon fiber helmet is a lot stiffer than fiber reinforced plastic. That means technically speaking, it'll absorb less impact. But what about Arai, one of the best helmet manufacturers in the world? They make their own carbon fiber and it's extremely safe. But have you ever seen an Arai helmet? They're pretty much the shape of a basketball, almost completely round. Whereas this has a teardrop design. Now that doesn't mean one is necessarily better than the other, they're just two different ways of dealing with impact. But there is a downside to Arai's round helmet design. It's aerodynamics. Look at this teardrop design. You could see how aerodynamic it is. People have compared the AGV Pistas to a scalpel. Well, the KYT KX1 was designed by the same person who designed the Pista GPR. So all you fans of the AGV Pista, this is the new Pista. Now what prompted me to make this video? Well, some kid on TikTok made a video that was very uneducated.
I've done a lot of research. KYT was going to be one of the other brands that I was really thinking about, but in full disclosure, I heard a couple of MotoGP racers and just racers in general go down with them on. I know Fastlane D just went down with it, but it was more of like a highway slide kind of sort of thing. It wasn't like impact.
He goes into his reasonings why he wouldn't buy this KYT KX1 and why he bought an HJC instead. He goes on to state that KYT has only been around for a couple of years, when in fact the PT Tara group that owns KYT has been around since the 1980s and they're the biggest manufacturer of motorcycle helmets in the world.
I've heard some people that are actually racing and crashed and unfortunately passing away from wearing some KYT helmets. I don't want to spread like misinformation about KYT is bad, like Adobe Moto is marketing bad products. No, I mean, I've never owned one, but I made an executive decision to not buy one and buy a brand that, is reputable and hasn't been around for 2-3 years.
Another reason he gave as to why he would never buy a KYT is because he heard of somebody at the track that died wearing a KYT helmet. Now, even a jigsaw rider knows that just because you wear a full face helmet doesn't mean you're immune to dying on one of these. He goes on to name drop MotoGP, and honestly, if you had just done a little bit of research, you would have found one of the most famous death-related incidents in GP in 2011. The late Marco Simoncelli lost his life riding in GP. And guess what helmet he was wearing? One of the most famous manufacturers ever. Again, I'm not trying to call you out, but you said you did your research and it's clear that you did zero. The KYT KX1 is one of the safest helmets in the world. It was tested under the name Suomi for 2 years before KYT made their version. It's called the Suomi S1 XR GP. If you care to do some real research, you could look it up. Now let's move on to the visor, another important part to motorcycle helmet safety. This is the helmet I crashed in at the track. As you can see, I made out with Mother Earth, and believe it or not, this visor is still functional. Now, if you go back to your sources, the Reddit sources that you went through, you may find that a lot of HJC helmet visors tend to come off. And that's not from crashing, that's just normal riding. KYT's metal constructed visor mechanism is one of the best in the world. I haven't seen another one constructed like it. It's held on by these 2 hex bolts and it looks like it's extremely easy to replace. And because it's made out of metal, it's extremely durable. And the sides are recessed to prevent impact directly to the mechanism that would shoot directly to your noggin. Now, my friend, you implied that these helmets are not safe and you stated that this company's only been around for 2 years. I hate to break it to you, my dude, you are dead wrong and you clearly did not do your research.